Hey fam. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I had a discussion with Faye Tomiwa at Oyinkonsona Blooms. Basically spoke about planning and how it affects your life. This is a part one of a two-part video, and if you enjoy it, I want you to head over to our channel and watch the second part. Enjoy. What are the common misconceptions about planning for the future that you know?
For me, one thing I figured out about misconception about planning is that you need to make big money before you start planning. Like, that is, you need to have a certain achievement before you think, okay, I'm planning for the future.
Yeah.
Like, as a student, you're supposed to at least have some money, be financially buoyant. Like, your current life is supposed to be how I put it. It is settled, everything is in place before you start planning for the future, which is not realistic enough.
That's a powerful one. One of the major misconceptions I know about planning for the future is that the plans are the end all be all, in the sense that the details which your plan contains will determine how the whole process will go to the end. We have to understand that when plans are introduced into reality, plans in our heads are these perfect ideas, but when they are introduced into reality, they are tested by reality, and then plans are modified. Plans are tested, bent to their limits. So there's this fear that, oh, my plan is not perfect enough. That means if I have a bad plan, I will essentially have a bad ending. So people don't feel up to the task to make plans because they believe that the plan is the determiner of how far they will go. But no, it should be finding you should see plan as a place to start, and then the plan can get modified along the way.
I also figured out that planning, it says that, okay, planning takes time and effort. Your plans don't have to be something that big, you want to achieve, immediately. Your plans are not like that. It's something like you have a test, and the test is 2 weeks, and you need to read. You don't have to read everything in one day to prepare for that exam. It can just be okay, I read a page, or I just read 2 paragraphs, and I understand that. You can read a particular page for 2 hours. If you read it for 2 hours and you don't get what you are reading, it's just pointless.
I think I've fallen a victim of this misconception. I want to be president, right? I don't know what it takes to be president. I don't know all the little details to be president. So some people can feel like, okay, because I cannot be that detailed, then I cannot make a good enough plan. But as we said before, a plan is just a platform to start.
For instance, it gives you a prophecy that you're going to be the world richest man, and you don't work towards it, you don't do anything, but you have that idea that I'm going to be a president or I'm going to be a rich man, and you don't do anything. Starting from getting a job, possibly working on your finances, and you don't do anything, but you still have that picture in your head that doesn't really
come into fruition at all.
I feel every kid always did, we did this when we were much younger. Okay, when I'm done with primary school, I should be 10, I should be 11 years old when I'm done with primary school. When I want to enter the secondary school, senior secondary school, by 12, you've already planned everything with your age. So if you become that age and you're unable to meet that plan, it is as if the person is a failure, that the person didn't make it. So I feel that is a misconception.
Although I believe that time-bound planning is essential sometimes.
But
it should be flexible. So if I say at the age of 30 I should be a millionaire, at 30 you can use it to check yourself. How much money have I made? Am I a better person than when I made this plan? If I'm a better person, yes, I'm making progress. I can shoot the millionaire to 40.
Under, something like that. So that's, I feel that's another misconception.
Another misconception is that you can just wing it, or you can just freestyle it. Maybe you've been doing it for years. Why can't you just wing it? And that's a very grave perception, because we look at other people that we assume that they are winging it or they are just freestyling it, and then we don't know that somewhere in their closet they have planned it out, or maybe in their head they are good visualizers and they have planned it out. So winging it is never an option. It always ends in tears.
And that is always ending in tears. If you know about any misconception, you can just let us know in the comment section. Just drop your misconception. My plans, or how I used to plan when I won't say much younger because I'm still young,
Yeah.
but then like how I used to see like my plans before, where they weren't categorized. So I was always having this perfect picture in my head that I don't realize that if it comes to reality, I may not get exactly what I pictured in my head. Like the picture is going to be so big, like it is going to be so perfect.
Yeah.
But if I now plan to like, or I work towards it physically, I figure that is not always making sense, if I can use it that way. That's one of my one of the ways I used to think. And another one is that in my planning before doesn't involve others. Like it was just me. I didn't want anyone to be like involved. It was just all about myself.
My planning before basically was no planning at all. Okay, so first of all, I felt like, before I told you, I'm a victim to that misconception that planning is for only particular people, and those people have to be very meticulous. Okay, so you know, there are a group of people, they call them sanguine temperament. So I believed I was a sanguine, and I believe that sanguines they are very boisterous, they are very in the moment kind of people.
Okay,
so we don't have what it takes. Yeah, exactly. Life as it comes. So I believe that I didn't have what it takes to plan. I didn't have that grit to be able to be that detailed. Like, ideas were just flying all over my head. I basically allowed people to make decisions for me and make plans for me. And I felt like, because I had my parents there, if I don't plan out my schooling, for example, they'll just make the decision for me and I'll go with whatever they say. If they want me to be a doctor, why not? If they want me to be a lawyer, why not? Like, I felt like they were wise and they were more meticulous than me, so I just left our plan out of the window.
One thing I also figured out, like I used to plan before, was like, I need to figure out my life now before I start planning.
How many of you are victims of that?
Yes, just
thumbs up.
signify. Like, I need to finish what I'm going through currently before I think of, okay, there's a future I need to plan for. Okay, let me say I'm supposed to take an exam. Don't mind me when I'm saying exam, because as a student, that is what is on your mind currently.
Sure.
You're supposed to take an exam. Your mind is just, God, I just want to pass this exam. Like, when I'm done passing this exam, I will not think of how my summer is going to be like. Because the spring semester, you're always like, always in school, planning about school. Though at times you'll be like, oh, I want summer to come. Like, I want to enjoy myself. I want to flex during summer.
I have no plan for this summer.
But you don't have any plans for the summer, because you just want to like, okay, let me finish this, then I will know what next. So,
and then the summer ends and you're like,
summer is ending. Like, that's how it is now currently. The time is just going. Before you see it, you just see it's 11 p.m. in the night. It's like, bro, when did this start? When did the day start?
So I'm sure like you've heard this saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And as cliche as it may sound, it's so true. Like, how many times have you been in that position where you fail to plan? You just decide like, let's not just plan, let's just go into this, and then at the end you're like, the time is already gone, or like missed opportunities, and it's crazy. I
would like you guys to like engage with it, so we know that, okay, we are doing a good job, like you guys understand what we're talking about.
I would take you to my planning process. So I look at planning in 3 ways. There's long-term planning, there's medium-term planning, and there's short-term planning. And within those categories, there are also planning based on the specific area of my life. That, like, there's planning for academics, there's planning for my spiritual life, there's planning for finances, there's planning for relationships, and other little buckets. For an academic goal, right, there's a long-term academic goal, because in 6 years, for example, I'm finishing medical school and I want to graduate with a high honors, right?
Yes.
I want to graduate with high honors. It's a bit more structured because I have the academic institution there to structure the whole learning system for me. So I don't need to plan out my lessons. I just need to plan out how I can operate within the system. So those are like the systematic planning. So I'll give you a practical example. This high honors, how do I behave every day that is going to yield me that high honor, and how do I measure it, right? How do I behave every day? I have to read more, right? Reading more is a very vague term, but you can break it down. So how many hours you want to read per day, right? And then how how can you measure it? Because plans have to be measurable. If you're reading every day and it's not working, you won't know if it's not working if you don't measure it. So I measure it by my tests, personal test, class test, academic performance, and then I look at my academic performance and see what worked, what didn't work, what can I do better. Okay, so that's for plans that are already very well structured. But for plans that are kind of in the air, like, okay, I want to make so amount of money, right? And then there's no really institution that you go to make that kind of money. That plan requires a lot more details, right? So now I tend to look at it as a big picture and break it down into components, right? So I'm going to give an example of this year. For this year, my plan was to start a YouTube channel, right? My plan was to start my career as a creative, right? And other creative endeavors apart from academics, right? So this is just a very vague term, but then I broke it down. What were my limitations then? I wasn't really organized. I wasn't organizing my data well, like my tasks. I couldn't like tell the progress I was making because I wasn't really organized. Even the way I organized my folder and my laptop, everything boiled down to organization, right? I realized that was there. I didn't have the skill. I didn't have the know-how. I didn't know how to operate cameras. I didn't know how to do lighting. I didn't know how to do all that. That was there. I didn't know how to generate ideas as well. That's one part of planning, finding your limitations. That's film, right? So that's camera, lights, everything. Organization and idea generation. That's basically writing, right? So I said I wanted to launch by June, right? Which I launched way before, but I wanted to launch by June and I divided the month before then. That was 3 months ahead. So the first month I said I was going to dedicate this month to organization, right? Then I downloaded the Notion app. I learned how to use Notion and the databases to organize my data. I downloaded Post Haste. That's another app for organizing folders and everything. So I got really organized in this month. Now everything is very organized. Then I moved on to the next stage, writing. I took a writing class. I started writing a lot. I took different writing projects to find my style. Like I wrote a script for a film which you have not seen and you'll never see, but it was for my own consumption. I wrote articles and different things just to test out. And you see that the more you follow through with your plan, the more you discover how well you operate in this plan. So that's when I discovered my writing style and my writing process and everything. And the third bucket was filming. I picked up a camera. Essentially, sometimes all you have to do is just start shooting. You figure it out along the way. I picked up my phone camera and then I started shooting videos in my bedroom. Some of them were crappy. Some of them made it to the internet as crappy as they were. Some of them were okay. And then I started just publishing. And the more I did it, the more I got affiliated with this plan. So at the end of the day, I hit my goal. That is to start a YouTube channel. And then I did. Now you look at the next thing. What's the next step? So that's the place of milestones. That's how I see planning. I look at the big picture and I break it down into steps.
That's nice.
How about you?
Well, for me, I feel like planning should be step by step.
Yeah.
It is, though we have the big picture, but you can achieve it in one day. When you plan your work, you also need to work your plans.
What does that mean?
Like, I'm planning, let me use my YouTube channel as something.
Okay.
I'm planning to have a YouTube channel. Okay. I'm planning to shoot videos consistently. When I plan my work, but I don't work the plans, I have them in my head.
But you don't work
But I don't work them out physically. In the sense that, okay, content writing, I need to take time, sit, think, like deep thinking. And I'm kind of person that thinking so deep can be stressful. Like, I want to ask this question, like, are there some people like that? Like, you want to just sit down to think, you have them in your mind, but just like brainstorm, like think so deep, at times can be so exhausting for me. So that kind of situation, where instead of me to think and be able to bring out content, the stress of, okay, I go like, maybe I'm 5 minutes into thinking. At some point, I just get exhausted. Like, bro, I can't continue. No. I just like find myself do something else. And when I go to do something else, coming back, I may not really like come back to what I was doing exactly. I mean, like, just go to do something else. And with that, I'm not working towards my plan. Because I have the plans, but I'm not working it. So I learned that you should plan your work and also work it, like
okay.
actualize it, do
That's a
something.
quote.
Yes, it's just so simple, just 2 sentences joined together, and like bringing a big concept. It's not just with the letters, it's how you see it and how you understand it. I learned that my plans are going to involve people. Like, it's not just going to be me.
Take notes.
It's not just like, it's not going to be only you. The people you may not even expect that may end up helping you. Okay, like we're having conversation at times when we talk, and we're always like sharing ideas and learning stuff. It could be a particular thing you said to me that I used, and I decided to like utilize that, and it made me so big in the future. And I later see you, I'll be like, you may not know you did something for me, but what you did had impact to how I decided to plan, and the plans are working and those kind of things. So I feel like relationships are also important in your planning. And not just relationship with people. I feel relationship with God also has something to do with it. That is even very important. Like you have a relationship with God, like it is so important. I'm reading a book, like I said, I'm reading Good Morning Holy Spirit, and I get to figure out that Holy Spirit is not just a substitute in the Trinity. Learn that Holy Spirit is not a substitute. Holy Spirit is exactly like, I would say, is exactly God.
This is God.
He's God himself. I think in discipleship school, there was one example Pastor Jude used for us, and like the egg, the raw egg. It has the outer layer, it has the whitish part, and it has the yolk. You see that they are the same thing. Talking to the Holy Spirit may not necessarily be like, or talking to God does not necessarily have to be like, oh God, pray, I pray, I pray, I pray, I pray. Just sitting down and talking. You can decide to drop a plan in your mind. You can decide to just drop something to you that you'll be like, wow. So this is something that is important, that is going to be very useful. So I feel that my planning also has to do with my relationship with people, and also with God, with the Holy Spirit, even with Jesus Christ, everything. So planning is like that. So that's one thing I learned. So how about you?
That's so cool.
One other thing I learned.
I love the way you broke it down and related it to every other thing. Sometimes we look at planning as this, okay, it's just me and my plan and my perfect plan, and we have established that plans in themselves are not perfect, and the relationships with people are very important. For example, this collaboration, like, is a perfect example. The plan was to start a YouTube channel. If I just imagine like I'm doing it on my own, then this won't be happening, and you guys won't be getting this
information
content. So essential. You have made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it so far, boop the like button, because it helps the algorithm. If you are really interested in this conversation and you want to see part 2 of the video, it's up on Feitomiwa's channel at Oyinkon Solar Blooms, and I will leave the link in the description.
So thank you. Bye bye.